Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam. Listen, sir. Listen, sir. Madam, Manita, madam. Madam. Madam, Dr. Manita. Madam, Dr. Manita. Listen, sir.
Mr. Ramtar.
Madam, Dr. Vanita. Yeah.
Good evening, sir. Vanita here, sir.
மேடம் எப்படி ஆரம்பிக்கலாம் மேடம்?
Me, sir. Vanita here.
மேடம் ஆரம்பிக்கலாமா?
Good evening, sir.
குட் ஆஃப்டர்நூன் மேடம், ஆரம்பிக்கலாங்களா?
Yes, sir.
அவரு
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
ஓகே, ரைட். ஓகே மேடம், சரி மேடம்.
Okay, sir.
We'll start. ஆரம்பிக்கலாம் மேடம். A very warm good afternoon to all my teaching and learning fraternity. I extend my heartiest greetings to all the participants, the teachers, the scholars, and the students. I feel very happy to have meeting with you in this webinar. The Department of English is Department of Arts and Science is organizing a 2-day webinar on diverse panorama in literature. I express my heartfelt thanks to our secretary, our principal ma'am, for the initiation and the progression of this particular program, which should be a very unique one in the annals of the Department of English. Now, I hand over the session to Madam Dr. Vanita to go for the further proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Good evening, all. I, Dr. Vanita, on behalf of the Department of English aided PSG College of Arts and Science, and on my own behalf, deem it a privilege to welcome you all for this 2 days webinar on diverse panorama in literature. We are elated in welcoming our speaker of the day, Dr. H.M. Mohamed Rafiq, Associate Professor, Department of English, Jamal Muhammad College, Trichy. His areas of specializations are African American literature, English language teaching, diasporic writing, and personnel management. He has designed curriculum for UG, PG, MPhil, and PhD programs for various universities. He is an innovative experimenter of language lab, teaching, study materials, language lab, laboratory manuals, etc. He has also coordinated job search skills, training sessions, orientations, job fairs, etc. Sir acts as the interface between various companies seeking talented young graduates in various disciplines. To his credit, he is awarded Best Researcher Award by ESN Publications, Chennai in the year 2019. Adding a feather to his cap is that he has got a research grant from the University Grants Commission for his project titled A Study of the Dark Impulses of the Human Minds as revealed in Vijay Tendulkar's Select Plays. Besides, he has produced 7 PhD scholars and 22 MPhil scholars, and 8 more are working under his supervision. He has edited 5 books and published 30 articles in national and international journals and adjudicated 7 PhD dissertations. His contributions are not limited to the academic field alone, but extended to social and corporate life too. Sir, it's indeed an honor to have you amidst us, sir. We are very happy to have such a versatile personality to address us today. We are all ears to listen to you, sir. Thank you. Please take over the session, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon to everybody. Respected the head of the Department of English, Dr. Elamaran sir, respected Dr. Vanita madam, learned staff members of various institutions, and my dear students and friends. It's an immense pleasure to convey my sincere thanks to Dr. Elamaran for providing me an opportunity to share some of my views. And also I'm very happy to meet every one of you, and I would like to share here some informations with you on African American poetry. First of all, we generally have the question that why do the writers write, first of all. Basically, the writers, they write for 3 things only. First one, to share his own experiences, to examine his own experiences, and to articulate his own experiences. For these three reasons only the writers write generally. But literature, the definition of literature, it tells that it is a kind of a primary impulses behind the literature in self-expression. This one is said by William Henry Hudson in his An Introduction to Literature. He says that it is a self-expression. So that's why we may define that a great book grows directly out of life. And now we will move on to the literature. There are so many literatures in the world, but this African American literature is actually different from other literatures. Why? Because other literatures celebrate so many things. But here it is not like that. The struggle, what kind of struggle they have given, and how they are having nowadays come out with flying colors, because the journey that it has been very hard, and also they have seen several difficulties in bringing out their efficiency. Here, I would like to say, introducing African American literature to the students community, so that they will realize the sufferings of the blacks and their contribution to the self and the world. African American writers would like to share the views of the life and self. So African American literature, it is not the easiest one. It has traveled so many stages. I just like to list stages here, and then in every stage of the development, who are all the very best. I mean, everyone is best. The very notable poets like to share here. Okay. That's why African American has been built on seven periods it has crossed. First one, the vernacular tradition. Second one, the literature of slavery and freedom. That it starts from 1746 to 1865. The literature of the reconstruction to the new Negro Renaissance. That it starts from 1865 to 1919. And then Harlem Renaissance, 1919 to 1940. Realism, naturalism, modernism, it starts from 1940 to 60. The Black Arts movements, 1962, 70, and last one, the literature since 1970. So, the literature that it has crossed seven stages with so much of pain and also struggle, and they are all able to attain the very highest peak of the world because of their efforts only. Because someone has said, life is beautiful because it has so many pains. No, person has said this one. As like here, African American literature, that it is not the easiest one to bring out their efficiency when they are under the subjugation of someone. A black person, he was under the subjugation of a white. How come he bring out his efficiency? So that's why it was very hard. First, I would like to go to the vernacular tradition. This vernacular tradition, that it is encompasses the cultural creations of African Americans, not simply as the form of self-expression, but as a means of resistance. African American folk expression has been defined by some scholars as double-voiced, indicating that folk songs, sermons, and other modes of expressions retained a meaning for the culture and a separate meaning for the outside world. This is the vernacular one, and now let us move to the next stage. Literature of slavery and freedom. It starts in the year of 1746 to 1865. here, when the writers want to publish their work, because they were under the slavery, they were on such kind of the discrimination, then how come they bring out? So that they silently, they have Africa given their ideas, but not against the whites. That is a very important. So that's why this period has been identified as one literature of slavery and freedom. Next stage, only freedom. First, literature of slavery and freedom. So it starts from 1746. It starts in first the African American 1746. Appeal to the traditional Christian gospel of the universal brotherhood humanity as a way of initiating a discussion with whites that did not directly confront their prejudice and their anxieties. So, a traditional Christian gospel of the universal brotherhood, humanity, these are all things that they have included in the very beginning, because it's not possible to write against someone when we are under them. It's not possible. So here I would like to narrate one incident in the life of a slave girl. A young small girl, she was purchased by a man, John Wheatley, as a servant for his wife Susanna in the year 1758. So she just and then she started to write some kind of the expressions of her ideas, and then she asked John Wheatley to show, to just verify it, and then he just promoted this one to the Boston. So invited her to attend for the oral examination. So that's why she was taken by John Wheatley to that. There she went, and then she was slowly going inside the Boston coach house. It was very big, and she has not come across such kind of the building in her life. So she was with the fear, and she was slowly going inside the court. There was 18 of Boston most notable citizens who are sitting there. They are among them John Irving, a prominent Boston merchant, the Reverend Charles Chansey, pastor of the 10th Congregational Church, John Hancock, who would later gain fame for his signature on the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Hutchison, governor of the colony, and Andrew Oliver, his lieutenant governor. They were prominent persons. First they laughed at the girl, seeing she was very small and also very dark, also not at all having some kind of the other estimations of the whites. And then they asked more questions. You just tell about your poem. She recited. And then they asked her more questions. Asked her to read, because they had the suspicion whether it has it has stolen from someone. As like that, that's why they asked her to recite. And then she read. And then they asked her some key passages from the text of John Milton and Alexander Pope. Why they asked John Milton and Alexander Pope? Because these two poets by whom the Africans seem to have been most directly influenced. So that's why they asked this girl to recite some lines. That girl she was very brilliant enough to, a young Negro girl, was but a few years since brought as an uncultivated barbarian from Africa. She was able to give the answers. So that's why finally what they did, the August gentleman proposed, sign and publish a 2-paragraph attestation on open letter to the public that prefaces the poet's book, and which reads in part as like that they have given the authorization to publish, but no one was interested to publish the poems. Who is that girl? Very small girl from Africa. She was an indentured labor, and she was having some little bit knowledge only. Who is it? None other than Phyllis Wheatley. She was the first poet to have the publication. So Phyllis Wheatley as first African American to publish a book, an accomplished African American woman of letters, first African American woman to earn a living from her writings. So none other than Phyllis Wheatley. She has written so many things that it is that the poems on various subjects, religions, and moral was published in 1773. Here that I have taken, I have chosen here, please weekly, the poem on imagination. This is the very first one that I would like to discuss here because it consists of 50 lines. So she is Phyllis Wheatley is considered the first Afro-American to publish a book and the first to achieve an international reputation as a writer. So in this poem, Phyllis Wheatley speaks about the splendors of imagination. The poet calls upon the classical entities connected with the literature to attend to the fancy flights of her imagination, but finally accepts her atom and the dampening of its fancy flights. This one has 7 stanzas. The imagination Wheatley begins with the innovative meter and form, using rhyming couplets to add a playful tone to the poem. The poem begins with introducing imagination as a queen and showing deference to the various works and wondrous act of imagination. In this stanza, imagination never rules our mind, but here the speaker grants authority for the imagination. The 4th stanza introduces the first person we, suggesting that the reader and the speaker are allowed to leave the rolling universe behind. In the 6th stanza, imagination controls thought and passion. By personifying imagination in this way, the speaker recognizes the power and the imagination has over creativity, love, longing, devotion, growth, and the soul. Without imagination, none of these things are possible. Here, the writer, the poet, even though imagination allows heart and minds to wander, eventually reality must set in. And reality cannot let as the reader or the speaker live wholly in imagination. Indeed, reality seems to place shakeless that even imagination cannot surpass. By ending the poem asking to choose the unequal lay, the speaker suggests that there is an unequal relationship between reality and imagination and implores this inequality to choose. The relationship between the speaker and winter is also an allegory for the enslavement within the poem. An imagination is stopped by winter's control, and the speaker must listen to winter's demand to turn away from Aurora and the mountains against the destruction. Because I have given some critical appreciation only about this poem, because it is having a very lengthy one, and also we go by line means it's not possible to go line by line. So that's why I have given the photo of the poet, the life and works, and then about the poem, about the poet that I have given in the slides. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Literature of the Reconstruction to New Negro Renaissance. It starts from 1865 to 1919. Reconstruction is generally identified as the years between 1865 to 1877. Why? Because actually it began even before the end of the Civil War. when numerous volunteers followed the army south and established refugee centers and hospitals and other social services. In the end of the late 1870s, with the withdrawal from the south of federal forces and reunited states of laws designed to limit African Americans socially, politically, and economically. Because the civil war that it has made so many changes, and it is making some kind of the struggle, and also they are not allowed even to write and other things, as like there are so many restrictions were brought by the people. So that's why Afro-Americans, they are more accurately called the decades of disappointment. This period is considered as a decades of disappointment, and a year marked by a great migration from south to north. And interestingly, there is a one writer that in this period very well known, and also the first hand testimony against slavery. It is by Oluda Ikuana, that he wrote in the year 1789, that it is the first hand testimony against the slavery. So in the first stage we have seen only the imagination and the brotherhood and so many things with the whites consultation only that they are able to bring out. But here there is a first kind of writing that it is against the slavery that it happened. And also another one remarkable incident happened in this period. The lady called by the name Ida B. Wells Barnett. She is 1862 to 1931. She was the investigative journalist. She was the writer as well as the editor of so many weekly black newspaper, The Living Way. She made a remarkable thing. What she led the women's club movement in the year 1898 itself. And then at a rally to Chicago, she presented a kind of a complaint to the president, William McKinley, with a series of resolutions against lynching. Here, the poet that I have chosen here to discuss, William Edward Booker W.E.B. Dubé. The spelling for how to spell D-U-B-O-I-S, Dubé. W.E.B. Dubé. The screen is not showing that one. It is the poet. He is from 1868 to 1990. Someone is crossing, so that's why that my slide is not coming here. Anyhow, he was the poet of the Renaissance man of African American letters during the first 50 years of 20th century. He played a pivotal role in organizing the Niagara movement. It was the first movement by the name of Niagara. It is only about the blacks only, which was formed, and it was later in 1910 became the NACCP. It is a very important one, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. It is about National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NACCP. Here the Dubé is here, and his life history is given here. That he is considered as the vanguard of the civil rights movement in America, who is the pioneer of bringing such kind of the movement in America by this writer only, W.E.B. Dubé. W.B. Dubé. Here I have chosen the poem W.B. Dubé's Song of Smoke, the Song of the Smoke, the Song of the Smoke. Dubé indicating the person of the poem as smoking. There is some kind of the difference in black community. Some people, those who are in the new color, I mean new color means somewhat pale, somewhat not so black, they consider themselves as superior than the blacks, I mean very black people. So there was a kind of a confusion that was prevailing in the minds of the people. What he did, Dubé, he was also a pale color, but he was strongly against such kind of the discriminating within its community itself. So that's why he would like to give a kind of a poem to make some kind of the awareness about that we are same and we have to fight for only one thing. So that's why he has written this poem. Dubé identifies the persona of the poem as the Smoke King. That it proclaims that despite this light color, the persona is black. This way is proclamation for the time as color had become as much as an issue in the African American culture as outside it. Lighter skinned people passed as while, of course, but there was also a general acceptance of the notion in the African American culture that lighter skin was preferable. Here, I can say one example that the poor white means that those who are all having the bright skin, I mean whites, but economically weaker section, those who are living in the platforms, they are also able to tease the black people. For that he has written about such kind of the anarchy that it is going on. So that's why he was writing about, and totally it was against some kind of the discrimination. That Dubé himself was a very light-skinned black man. Here, the image of smoke takes the shape here as an idea, as well as of the smoke coming from the factories where great numbers of blacks who had come north worked as a low-paying jobs. Here he has given some kind of the assumption that he has the factories, they are all producing the smoke. It is equal to the blacks people that they are all having why the black smoke is coming because of the so much of chemical reactions taken in the factory. So it is giving the production to it, and then it is eliminating the blackness. As like the whites are all much utilizing the exploiting the blacks, and they are leaving out the blacks, thrown away the people, because it is well seen in the World War I and II that the European powers used blacks in the wars. At the time only they got the job, and then after that they will leave out, they will cut from the army, and then they will go out as a jobless manner. This was the scenario. So that's why the single parent is very much in the black community, because the black men, they got job and worked, and then they served the family, and after the job, I mean jobless, that they will desert the family, and then they will go on. So that's why there are so many stepfathers and the peoples, those who are all the single parenting ideas, that it is much prevailing in the black community. So here the smoke that it is representing about that low paying jobs. The thought is the collective black memory and of the extremes of labor in both south and north. And in this poem again he would like to say that it is smoking becomes more than simply the light skinned African American identifying with the darker black African American. And the internal rhyme that it is between wreathing and sheathing suggests also a gentleness. Although sheathing might also refer to punishing the darts into the sheath for use. In any case, these darts and light, and they will shout with the love. So this likely means that the words of the smoking are spoken to both white as well as black out of love, though words will shout out like the darts to get the attention they deserve. Here, the smoking words are inspired by the hard times these people have experienced. This is telling this one is having the acceptance of his place alongside the darker blacks, and then the blacks that they are all having the understand that the wrongs that have been perpetrated on his people historically and on each and every one of his people now, and done him as well. And then finally, in this poem, that it is talking about associated with evil and white with good. The black that it has been associated with evil, the white with the good, because already it is given in the all not only in the literatures. When you take a Paradise Lost, Adam was white and Eve was black. It was portrayed by the very beginning of the before the Stone Age onwards that it has been brought up. So that's why here the reference of this one that it has making so much of kind of disturbance to him. So as well as the conditions of the labor culture experienced hell on earth and the hands of whites. Finally, he closes this idea that the blacks that they are under the whites custody, so that's why they are all undergoing hell type of drudgery things in their life. And then next stage, I mean, literature of the reconstruction to new Negro Renaissance. It starts from 1865 to 1919. Reconstruction is generally identified as the year between 1865 and 1877. It is kind of the act that has been given in the all the states. I mean, in USA, just they are all passing this order in uniform manner that designed to limit African Americans socially, politically, and economically, because they are all growing. The strength is also growing, and actually the intellectual thing also very good. So that's why they are all writing and doing. So that's why we should not allow them to grow much. So that's why they want to make some kind of the restriction. So that's why uniformly all the governors of the states has sent the order to minimize the activities of the blacks. So that's why it is considered as the decades of disappointments. That we have seen this one, and then now it is let us move to the next one, the Harlem Renaissance. That it is a very very interesting one in the history of world history. In 1914 to 1940, the Harlem Renaissance. The extraordinary creativity in the arts for Black Americans in the year 1920, because in 1914 the peoples they started such kind of the movement, and also they allowed all the blacks to publish their writings, because the publication was very very hard in those days. So that's why what they did, they started by their own press, and also it was placed in the Harlem district. So that's why it's a Harlem Renaissance. It was a hotbed of political activity and debate. One of these debates was the purpose of the black art that was being produced. So Harlem Renaissance playing a very important role here to enhance the self-esteem of African Americans, to create extraordinary works of art and literature that showed the strength, the intelligence of the African American people. Here I have taken two poets, that Giorgio Douglas Johnson, The Heart of a Woman. It is the very small poem. It is talking much things. It is about the proud of a black color. She justifies herself that being a black, that I am so proud. I think in the year 2013 or 14, the Miss World was a black girl, and the jury team asked her, "Are you would you like to continue the same color with you?" For that question, she gave the answer very brilliantly. I enjoyed this black color. Being a black, I am very much pleasurable one to me. So why are you asking me to continue my life as a black one? Why don't you change your color? Because Michael Jackson changed his color. Because the blacks that just they want to make themselves as a white man as like that, they want to change some kind of the clinically, just they go out and change this one. But that lady said that I don't want to change my color because I enjoy my color, because being a black, I am proud, because we are wearing the mask in this world. So we are the first one to enter into the heaven. There is no doubt it, because the sufferings only in this world only, and another world that it will definitely, it will give the first gate to open for us only. So that's why generally what we feel, what we have the faith that it is those who are all having such kind of so many sorrows, that the next world that it will welcome you as a very good person, and also you will be placed in the heaven. As like just Georgia Douglas Johnson, what she says, that being a black, that I am proud, so that's why she has written the heart of a woman. This title is used by Maya Angelou in her autobiography. She has written her autobiography in 6 volumes. Among 6, fourth one is the title of the heart of a woman. It is why she has chosen the title, because they asked her why you have chosen this one. Because the first one was why the caged bird sings. This was the first one. This was the first volume. And in the fourth volume, they asked why you have chosen the heart of a woman. For that, she said that because I am much inherited blackness, and I am busily involving in socio-political activity with Martin Luther King Jr. and also Malcolm X. I was much pleasurable. I gained much experience and pleasurable things with them. So that's why I have taken the title that the heart of a woman. I thank my thanks to Georgia Douglas Johnson. She said in an interview after her publication. Why I'm quoting this one? Because Maya Angelou made the Americans to bring back the reading habit because of her writings, because such a kind of a sensational writer she has given. We will see in later. So Georgia Douglas Johnson, the heart of a woman, it's a kind of the poem that it is talking about the proudness of being a woman. But at the same time, some writer, Linda Henderson, that she said that being a woman is vulnerable, and being a black woman is more vulnerable. She said that, but it is not accepted by all. But we are not also accepting this one. But what she said that it is as like, and then Carl Mickey, Enslaved. It is also very beautiful poem. It is talking about the vulnerability, because when they found the Harlem Renaissance, when they started the Harlem Renaissance, because of the Harlem Renaissance, they start to write about the struggle and they want to show their protest to the world. So that's why they started such kind of the writings. Here that I have chosen the poem of the heart of a woman. It's a very small poem, but it's a very vibrating one, and also it is having so much of ideas in the poem. She begins by describing how the heart of a woman is able to travel out from her body and take flight with the dawn. She says that this one is not it is today, the fourth one. That she begins by describing how the heart of a woman is able to travel out from her body and take flight with the dawn. This one is not right. This fourth poem, the heart of a woman. Take this one. This description of freedom initially seems perfect, and if there is nothing more than one could want than to be able to travel with the dawn. But it is important to note that this freedom is not physical. It is only within women's heart that this happens. This is very important restrictions to keep in mind, that the bird now being used as a metaphor for women's heart. And freedom is flying for so many things. These two opposites, valleys and towers, provide the reader with some additional insight into how this speaker sees the world. There are high points and low points. These high points are while safe, far away from the ground, take one away from the realities of life. In contrast, the valleys or valley over which bird flies can be seen as both deep, unknowable places, and oases of beauty and possibility. The bird touches neither of these but continues to fly. This one is talking about condition of blacks, that it is very worst. We are surveying, we are flying only on the under, I mean, the surface level only, but we will find some kind of oasis. But if you are in far away, that you have to come to one day to the dust of um, the earth, that you have to come here. As like that, she has given the ideas. And the next point here, I have chosen the called me is enslaved poem. It is speaking clearly to the histories of colonization. When you check the colonization, he is from Jamaica. He has migrated from Jamaica to America, and he has seen and he has written about the colonization, the history of colonization, how it is. Very vulnerable one. Because just you see this one, and we are able to see this poem. It is talking about the colonization. Jomo Kenyatta, an African Gandhi, is known as African Gandhi. He says in a very drastic way of the colonization, how it is affected. He is just addressing to the whites. How? When you came to, you means that it is the whites. When you came to my land, I had my own land in my hand and you had your own Bible in your hand. Now what happens? What happens? You are having my own and we are having your own Bible in our hand. What kind of the drastic thing that happened? You came as a missionary. You came with the Bible and science, and you taught science as well as Bible, and even the Bible, and you have taken my land in your hand. It was very beautiful. It is well said by Jomo Kenyatta, an African Gandhi from Kenya. He is representing that when you came to my land, I had my own land in my hand, and you had your own Bible. Now I am having your own Bible, and you are having my own land in your hand. What kind of the change that it has happened? Drastically, that the change happened. And I can quote another poet that he is not African American poet, but he is from an African country. Michael D. Annan, I think you might have been studied this poem, Africa Speaks. Africa Speaks. It is talking, it is a kind of the poem that it is discussing about what kind of the thing that you have looted from us and how you enslaved us and how we are all struggling. These are all things in a very vulnerable manner that he has given the ideas. So here, history of colonization, what kind of the colonization? Because of the colonization, we are enslaved. So that's why here, the long-suffering race, he has called his black community as long-suffering race, is almost certainly a reference to his own heritage, that it is from Jamaica. And then, by then long colonized by European influence. Then what he says, he has given the first-hand colonization experience labeled, deemed worthless by the Western world, especially evident conclusion after he moved to the United States approximately 10 years before the publishing of this poem. And then the Christian West more than likely referred to the religious superiority that was typically exposed by European colonists. And here he says, called Mickey, what he says, the choice of the words here evidently very careful. The black land disinherited is a line filled with a strong meaning. Here, disinherited. The black land is disinherited. What is the disinherited? The word disinherited especially speaks to the injustice of the racist policy. How he says, how he is acknowledging his own community as black land disinherited But African culture is a very biggest one, and it's also having so many values and ethics. But how it has been treated as a disinherited. The word disinherited especially speaks to the injustice of the racist policy. Typically, in order to disinherit someone from ownership of land, the one doing must actually own land, because you are doing what kind of the job. You have taken me, you have utilizing me, you are just victimizing me by usage of my own power. You taken away my power, and then you are calling me as a disinheritor. This enslaved, this poem is vulnerability of the colonization. It is very plainly, and also in golden letters it has been written in the African Americans. Gandhi saying that when you come to learn, that it is a typical phenomenon to tell about what kind of the colonization that it has made the country as an enslaved one. Michael D. Amman also says Africa speaks, that it is also talking about you have looted everything from our land and you have left the dragons only here. The dragons are all eating which things? The rotten fruits, rotten bodies only. So you have taken everything from us. And this period is over here. And the next period is realism, naturalism, and modernism. Realism is an aesthetic attempt to explore the human behavior and surroundings and to represent figures and objects as they ought and appear in life. Naturalism is sometimes claimed to give an even more accurate depiction of life than realism. Modernism is a revolutionary one in sense that it is challenged the figures that blocked from human progress. Here, in this period, it starts from 1940 to 60. They have the black literature that it has grown, and they have attained some very highest stage also. Here, very famous and also very most preferable poet, Gwendolyn Brooks. Gwendolyn Brooks, the mother. It's a very beautiful poem. It presents a mother's grief over her aborted children. Why I have chosen this poem here? Because when you take the period before that, Harlem Renaissance, before that there is a kind of the new Negro movement, and before that it was a kind of the literature of slavery and freedom. So literature of slavery and freedom, it is talking about the ordinary, imaginary ideas and the other brotherhood aspect that it goes on. And in the new Negro movement, it is a kind of the thing that why there was a kind of a disputes between the blacks and who is our the enemy for us, as like that it's a kind of some awareness program that it is given in that period. And in the third one, which one, that it is the reconstruction of the new Negro Renaissance, and then we have the Harlem Renaissance. In the Harlem Renaissance, they got the publication, so that's why they are able to bring out their efficiency. After attaining certain stage, they should be make themselves as a naturalist. They want to realize the reality. They want to know about the modernism. So that's why Gwendolyn Brooks is talking about the vulnerability of a woman, why she is going on such kind of aborting her children. Because I already said that a single parent is in the black community. Here the mother, Gwendolyn Brooks, here this poem is talking about what kind of the vulnerability when she forcibly doing this kind of the abortion. The mother describes so perfectly the appearance of them theaters just about her. The speaker says everything clearly, but the imagination and the poetic kinds of expression are notable. For example, the very beginning in the striking, the abortions will never let you forget. You remember the children you got and that you did not get. Very beautifully she says, you remember the children you got that you did not get it. Very beautifully she has given the idea. She brings vivid and poignant images of mother's eyes. The damsel pulps with a little or with no hair. How the child was in the mother's stomach, how it was. It was very little and with no hair. And she reminds them what the babies would have become in the future. They would become singers or workers when she talks about what the woman will miss. She mentions some extremely typical experiences of a mother. I think we are running short of the time, so that's why I would like to rush up the ideas. Now it's time 3:50 itself. Black Arts movements, that it is a very greatest period in African American literature because Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Rita Doe as like the very prominent persons were emerging in this period. Martin Luther King Jr., you know, well known of this one because he got the Nobel Peace Prize in year 1964. Malcolm X was very brilliant in changing the some other stream, awaken the working class masses of African American to Islam because he argued and also he has given the ideas that when you come to the label of Islam, that you will not find any kind of the discrimination. I don't want to say much about this one because there will be some kind of the criticism will go on about me because being a Muslim. That's why I'm advocating so many things as like. So I don't want to go much about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. That is he invoked the doctrines of civil disobedience and passive resistance so effectively used by our Gandhijis during the fight against the black colonization in British colonization in India. So here he has given such kind of a very big struggle and also he got the victory also. His I Have a Dream is very famous. You might have been studied all this one in your school days or college days. Here that Amri Prakash Black Arts, it was the poem dedicated to assassination of Malcolm X. He was assassinated, so that's why by commemorating the memory of him, that he has taken that poem as commemorating the memory of Malcolm X. Rita Doe's motherhood, it is talking about the mother that how she is and how she is potential in both fulfilling and destructive. As a mother, but she is able to bring the good things for the child. But here there is a kind of the way of life that how the blacks are living aspect that it goes on. So I would like to go to the last one period, the literature since 1970. It is a very important the period has been started because you take this period that it is the explosion of the works of African American, especially the women writers, as a result of a intersection of the two movements. Here there is a two movements that has brought here in this period. The Black Power movement in 1960 to 1980, the women's movement in 1970. I would like to remain here. This one is considered as one of the most important influencing factor in the second wave feminism. The women's movement in the year 1970, that it has been a most influencing thing in the second wave feminism because there was a kind of the thing that a girl, Sojourner Truth, she was fighting against a white in the year 1826 to regain, to get back his her own child from the white man. The case she won in that one. So that's why in the 1826 itself that there is a kind of the franchising the rights, the reality that it has brought by the black peoples in the world. So now we are able to see Barack Obama and so many others. But here only 2 months back that I got the information that the very first black Air Force pilot is J.G. Madeline Swinkler is the girl that she is controlling the Air Force pilots. She is the head of that one. She has attained such a highest peak. In 1926, Sojourner Truth, she fought against a white man to bring back the children. It was the very beginning, and now we are able to see very good greatest achievement by blacks. And here that the homosexual writers Andrew Lord protested the ways in which lesbians and gays fell outside the cultural nationalist definition of blackness. And in this period, I would how come I leave Maya Angelou? Because without Maya Angelou, this period that we cannot complete it. We cannot be complete with this one. And Toni Morrison won the Nobel Prize also. It is also a very important one. Okay, here I would like to share some historical incidents. When Bill Clinton was assuming as the 43rd president of America for second time, he invited Maya Angelou to recite a poem in that occasion. She was the first poetess. She was the first black poet to enter into the White House to recite a poem. She has not taken this one as a granted one to support or so, such kind of the giving some kind of the solidarity to the government. She has not done as like because how nowadays the people how the world that it is how it is going on the fourth estate means the press how it is going on. I don't want to say anything about this present scenario, but why I'm saying this one, if there is any kind of the position is given to anyone that they will make use to exploit the situation in favor of himself only. But she is not like that. She is not like that. She has criticized America. You are calling yourself as a supreme nature, supreme power in the world, but it is not like there are so many peoples, blacks, the Asians, lesbians, guys, and the Japanese. As like there are so many the community, the which are all the very less that they are all suffering from so many things as well. And also there are so much of expectation from you that it is the idea that it is given by Maya Angelou in that occasion. Here I can quote one idea that when John F. Kennedy, when he was assuming as the president of America at the time of January 20th, 1961, he invited Robert Frost to recite a poem. But due to his age, he was unable to read the poem. The poem it was made only for that occasion, that it is called the dedication. But he has not read this one, and already he has published one poem that is called The Gift Outright. It was published in the year 1941, but actually it was written in the year 1936 itself, but it was published in the year 1941, and then he made use of that poem to read. Why? Because he said that it is not possible for me to read because I am having such kind of the blindness, so that's why I'm not able to read, because already it is published once, so that's why the people, along with the people that he recited the poem. So the first poet was Robert Frost. He was white. The first black poet was Maya Angelou. She was the first one to recite a poem in the White House. So it's a very important one for the research scholars as well as those who are aspiring for the next SLET examination. The first black poetess, first black poet, as well as the first poetess in the world, that she was the one to recite a poem on the occasion of Bill Clinton was assuming as the president of America. She recited in the title of On the Pulse of the Morning. On the Pulse of the Morning, that it is telling about the true picture of America. It was beautifully it is presented. And here how he has given that. As human beings, we are more alike than we are unalike. Beautifully it is presenting. As human beings, we are more alike than we are unalike. It's beautifully it is presenting about that. She would like to break down the barriers of the racism. And also, she has written her autobiography in 6 volumes. I would like to narrate one incident from her life. When she was at the age of, she had some kind of the toothache. So that's why she was taken by her grandmother to a white dentist. Initially, the white dentist was he got some money from Maya Angelou's grandmother, he has to pay the dues also. Even though he has to pay some dues to grandma, he refused to treat Maya Angelou. What kind of the philosophy he is having? He said, that one has become a very painful in my mind. So one day that I will become the greatest in the world. She said this one. What was the idea he has said that, Mama, you see, you brought a girl, black girl. I have the policy. I would like to teach the pig's mouth. I would like to put my hands in pig's mouth rather than blacks. Blacks, that I never put my hands in the mouth of blacks. In the nigger's mouth, I won't put. He says that the same line he has said, that I would like to put my hands in the mouth of even pigs, not the niggers. Niggers means blacks. So painful, so vulnerable, and she has taken that idea that it is more painful than my tooth. That's why on the day that I think it of that one day that you have to come to me, the same thing it has happened. Bill Clinton invited her. So you see, such kind of the vulnerable thing that it has made some the people to have such kind of the thing. Writer that is, she has written all her ideas. In one association with Martin Luther King, she asked Martin Luther King Jr., you are all so close with the whites, but your policy is against whites. What is the kind of the contrast here? She asked. For that she says, for that he said that Martin Luther King Jr. says, we are not the whites, we are against only about the capitalists only. We have to fight with the capitalists only, not with the whites, because they are also our friends. So such a great policy that it was taken by, granted as one, and she has shown as his role model in her life, and also she made so much of things. Here I would like to say one more thing about Maya Angelou. When such kind of the thing was going on at the time, the Wasmik, the pronunciation is as like the Wasmik, he is from African land. He was a expatriate leader from Africa. Before Nelson Mandela, there was a very greatest leader in South Africa was Wasmik. But the history is not giving much thing, because the history is written by only the winners. So that's why they are not giving any much kind of the idea on the other peoples. Because Armstrong was the first one to put his feet on the moon. We are talking, but we don't know about the second one. What is his name? As like before Nelson Mandela, there was a person very actively involved in the freedom struggle in South Africa was maker. When he was expatriated from South Africa to America, he was living with and he was having close connection with Martin Luther King Jr. When there was a kind of the relationship with Maya Angelou, he said that I would like to marry her. She said that I am busily involving in socio-political activity, but you are calling me into the family stream. How is it possible? Because I cannot balance these two things in my life, because I want to serve for my community. Father Wasmik said that why you are all putting a kind of a circle for you, you come out from that one. Why don't you think it of the South Africans also? Why don't you take your kind of the struggle for our people also? So when you marry me, then you will also have such kind of the felicitation with the people of South Africa. So that's why she thought of that. She has accepted and she married. For the time being, only the marriage went on because the ego clash happened. Here, in one occasion, Maya Angelou said that being a mother of children and having a subordinate in my family, I enjoyed these things. So the feminism, there is no feminism in my life. What she said that I don't want to have any such kind of that one, because I am enjoying, because it's a safety one. The marriage is a safety for me, and also it is giving much pleasurable things, and I am doing that also. That's why why should I go for such kind of the franchising my rights? even though she was very close associate with Martin Luther King Jr.'s office. So we are really able to see so many dimensions of this writer. So here that she has written, "Still I Rise." This poem just it has been published when she was actually involving in the publication of her autobiographies in 6 volumes. The fourth one that it is to be published at the time only that she has written about "Still I Rise." It's a kind of a phenomenal one. It has made this poem, it has made this lady to a phenomenal figure because she has taken this one as a very informative, and also the family structure and the environment, everything that it made me as a very biggest one. The Maya Angelou's poem. Maya Angelou's influence on African American literature is immeasurable. Her performance on stage have had a large impact on modern slam poetry. A popular contemporary genre of poetry meant to read is "Till I Rise" has also inspired responses from artists and writers and been recited by well-known figures from Sojourner Truth to Serena Williams. It has taken such kind of a very long journey from Sojourner Truth to Serena Williams. The poem's message of rising above oppression and having a triumph over hatred has long resonated and in all likelihood will continue to resonate with readers across the world. It is a poem that it is able to give much inspiration to all of us, and also it is talking about the gold mines and diamonds, which are all considered as the gold mines and the poem. The gold mines and diamonds are either sources of valuable materials or precious objects themselves. So here the ocean, the symbol of ocean, that it is very powerful in nature with regular and inevitable tides. It contains a turbulence of waves without breaking apart. Here, "Still I Rise," the ocean symbolizes the speaker's power, which is a force of its own that cannot be inhibited by human efforts. The ocean also becomes more immense and powerful. And then finally, however, the speaker switches from smite to metaphor here in the last 2 stanzas. The final stanza are also notably a departure from the first 7 stanzas. Thus, they can be considered the conclusion of the poem. In the first example of metaphor, the speaker states that she is a black ocean. She is no longer simply like moons or like suns. By the end of the poem, she is a force of nature, black ocean, and in of herself. She's having a black ocean. She don't want to call herself as a sun or moon. How long you call it as a sun or moon? You just take me as an ocean and gold mines. So these are all things that it is an uncountable manner that it will go on. So that's why I am asked like this. So I still rise means I am growing, I'm growing, I'm growing. Here I would like to quote one incident from our Indian history. When Jawaharlal Nehru was assuming as the first Prime Minister of India, at the time the press people asked that how do you how India is a very greatest one. For that he said that simply he said that I remind myself in notes with the things, which are all the things I have faith with the oceans, I have faith with the mines in our India, I have faith with the minerals in India. So these are all the things that are going to make this country as a developing one, and in one stage it is developed. So I have faith with these things. So I may be called as a paganist. I don't mind about to say that I am a paganist. I don't find any kind of any kind of the disturbance in calling me as a paganist, because I have faith with minerals and water reservoirs, and so many things are going to make India as a very greatest one. So here I am, why I am saying this one. When you take that idea that the gold mines or oceans or the reservoirs, water reservoirs, these are all equivalent to the spiritual power of a lady. She would like to grow. So that's why she called herself as a ocean.
You have only 5 minutes.
And then just it is running short of time, only 5 minutes to go. So the literature, it is after that literature since 1970, just I have taken one poet that finally in the year of 2020 he got the Minister Prize, and him is the tradition. Who is that poet? Jerrick Brown, the very latest poet Jerrick Brown, that he won the Minister Prize, and he has won so many prizes also here. The tradition details the normalization of evil and its history at the intersection of the past and the personal. As like he is Brownie's poetic concerns are both broad and intimate, and at the very core of that. What do you mean by the safety? Who is the nation? Who is this nation? Where does the freedom truly lie? Actually, he has given the questions, and also finally he has given the substantiating the answers to all these questions. So here, this one I would like to conclude my speech. Here, why I have taken this this poet. Here there is a kind of the instruction that it is given here. African American poet, it is not given to him. Jerrick Brown, that he has been called as an American poet. Why? Why are you calling him? He is a black in color. Why you called me? Here I would like to quote Susan Lori Fox, the greatest dramatist of this century, that she don't want to call herself as a black dramatist. She would like to call as a dramatist only. Because how long you say that I am a black, belong to a literature, I'm a black person, how long you call me as a black artist? Why don't you call me as an artist? Because we have abolished the gender discrimination of poetess as like you just call me as an American poet. How long you say as a African American poet? Because we're not with the disturbance of African form, but we have inherited everything from our country, doing from our roots. We are doing everything. So you just call me as an American poet. Susan Lori Fox won so many awards. Her underdog has secured so many awards because she has performed 365 plays for a year, and this is the kind of the record that she has made. Okay, there are so many things to speak to you, but here that it is not possible to say all the ideas. So with this one, I would like to thank all the listeners first, because it is the afternoon time, and also how long I am able to reach you, that is not a that I am unable to say that I am able to reach you or not. Anyhow, that I would like to go to one thing from Tamil. Avayar said that கற்றது கையளவு கல்லாதது உலகளவு. Known is a drop, unknown is a ocean. Here we have discussed only a very little drops only. But unknown thing that it is for me also, it is so many things in the world. With this one, I would like to convey my sincere thanks to Dr. Ilamaran for providing me such a kind of a platform to brief some ideas what I studied, and also of the college and the organizers and the participants. Thank you. Thank you, Ananda.
Thank you, sir. I request the participants to post your questions in the chat box. Post it in the chat box. Participants, you can post your questions in the chat box.
Thank you, sir. I have received so many new informations from you, sir. I'm very much thankful for the session and you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, thank you for that informative session, sir. It was interesting and it was very useful. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
So good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, this is Associate Devanathan from NMC, the research scholar of Dr.
Oh,
K. Tamilmani.
okay. Oh, nice one.
It was a wonderful and enlightening session, sir. We are grateful.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
So
sir.
tomorrow you will have your supervisor's presentation. It will also be
Yes,
very,
yes.
very interesting
So
because
I have a very, very simple question. And when
okay.
this you have presented 7 stages of this Afro-American
Yeah,
literary developments as such.
yeah.
Thing is, in these stages, what was the role of the church prevalent in the uh, localities, or how was the church reacting? Was the church was not in no way helpful for the writers to post their views
You see,
in
it's a very good question. Here, you see, still in America, there are some churches belong to whites, some churches belong to blacks, and also the schools are also white for whites and the blacks. There are so many schools as like even in South that they are all having. So in the very beginning, early period, just you check that early the Negro Renaissance period, that in that time that they didn't have any black Baptist churches. They have very small level only. And how come they give such kind of the help to the black artist to bring out their efficiency? It was not possible. And after the Harlem Renaissance only, the churches somewhat they allowed, but we don't have any such kind of the information. I never come across such kind of the information. There are little bit may happen, but might have been helped, but there is no any such kind of uh, the event that it has taken place. In some of the lives that there might be some possibility may happen, but we don't have any such kind of the very remarkable incidents to make such kind of the influence or to make the black artist to bring out the fight against the racism that it is not given so far. I never come across such things, sir. This is
thank you, sir. Thank you.
thank you.
In a way, sir, can we assume that in fact indirectly church was promoting or supporting or was silent to this sort of discrimination on that locality?
Because in the beginning, they didn't have any churches for the blacks because they assembled only in the outside of the church only.
Okay, sir.
How the peoples are treated in the class in the name of classism, that how they are the casteism, how they are all treating the peoples outside of the temple only the peoples are allowed to stand as like they had. And later on after the Harlem Renaissance and then black arts movements, as like there are so many movements that it got the existence at that juncture only that they there might be some kind of the help from the churches, but there is no any kind of the illustration of specifically illustration of such kind of the role of churches in the blacks that it is I never come back, but it may happen. It might have been happened in some places, but we don't have any such kind of the ideas here. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Kind
you.
of.
Thank you. Hmm. Thank you, Sriram.
Participants, any questions can be posted in the chat box.
Preeti also congratulate. Hmm. Kalayarajan, English. Said thank you. Also,
Yes, sir.
Professor, can I speak a few words, Professor?
yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Professor. I would like to thank Professor Rafiq for a very comprehensive presentation about Afro-American poetry, Afro-American literature as such. You have touched upon every aspect of Afro-American literature. It was a very pleasant occasion to listen to you, Professor Rafiq. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And one more thing I want to share here, the Tamil Muni was our student in our college. But not directly to me, but anyhow, he studied in our college, and I am also very proud to say that he is a illustrious alumnus of our college. So we are all very proud to, I am very proud to say this one in this occasion, in this juncture. I want to share this one. Thank you, Tamil Muni.
Very true, sir. Very true, sir. Very true for the compliment, sir. I have been groomed by people like you and people, my teachers, Professor Dastur, Professor Ibrahim, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor, for the compliment. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Madam?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Shall we go for vote? Thanks, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Please, madam. Please.
Good evening again. First and foremost, I would like to thank our management for allowing us to conduct this webinar. And our thanks are due to our principal, Dr. Brinda, for supporting us in all our academic affairs. We wholeheartedly thank our head of the department, Dr. P. Lamaran, for taking initiative and all necessary steps to conduct this webinar. And we place on record our thanks to our resource person. Sir, it was a very elaborative and enlightening session, sir. And we should definitely thank you for your wonderful examples, with the poems you quoted and the anecdotes. It really made it enlightening, lively, and it has brought an impact on us, sir. So thank you so much for this session, sir.
Thank you.
And I also thank all our members of our department. Thank you, sir. I thank all the members of our department for their contribution. Last but not least, I thank all the participants for your enthusiasm and your cooperation. As we draw the curtain of the webinar down, I'm sure